Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon. So, I figured with the official release of Frozen 2, which by the way, I'm still planning to review this movie, folks. This version of the film, I'm still planning to review it, just so you know. So, in celebrations of this release, I thought I would do a hypothetical what if scenario for Forza 2. So I just been thinking about this since there's been so many live action remakes of the classic Disney films, and they're still planning to make even more in the near future, which, if you ask me, is just ridiculous, folks. Just think of it as a way to, I guess, stand out compared to those folks instead of just rehashing a situation, a scenario that's already been done like 50 times. So just think of this like a writing lesson, if anything, I guess. Yes, I know. Before anyone tells me, sequels themselves can be just as guilty of being pointless and ridiculous. So, I know. So unfortunately, even Disney is not immune to making some of the worst, most horrific, awful sequels, prequels, or whatever you want to call them. And I made a lot of them. I do mean a lot. I could have easily made this entire video just how discussing how bad these movies are and how so many. Ugh. I mean, okay, not every sequel that Disney made is guilty of this, because Frozen is one of the few rare exceptions to this. But unfortunately, it's too few and in between. It's like fighting a needle in a haystack. Frozen being the needle and the haystack being a mountain of bad sequels. Well, okay, enough of the blah 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 talking. You get the setup. So let's just dive right into the meat of the video, so to speak. Basically, this is gonna be about featuring. Oh, I mean, okay, bear with me, folks. I know it's gonna sound ridiculous, just bear with me, okay? So having the Frozen characters, all of them, starring in a Star Wars film. I know some people might be laughing at that. People are more than willing to accept talking gerbers as spy agents. So, and they were hired by some sort of agency, something in regards to the government and whatever. Hey, people accepted that. So, what I'm saying does not come off too much of a stretch compared to that movie, which was a bad movie, honestly. But anyway, think of this like a crossover in a sense, like those characters being in the Frozen universe, I guess you can say. So anyway, without further ado, let's start the movie off with the same typical way that Star Wars is known for doing it, with the words coming up like this, giving you a brief summary of certain events before you would watch them playing out throughout the entire movie, of course. But since this is like a typical thing for Star Wars, it became a tradition for these films to start that way. So with that, in that regard, I don't want to remove that like at all. So anyway, so you know, I'm not ignoring what was done in the books and whatnot in the expanded universe. Anyway, just like in the film Frozen 2, it was a certain voice really early on in the film, and she has a hunch to follow this. Maybe she doesn't know what it is exactly, but that's being kept here. So she's trying to find out what's going on really and why is this so important. This is gonna be around the same time you introduce an important character, and it could be her, folks, which she was in the expanded universe in comics, and she did for a time did help the Empire for a little while when after the events of some of the original Star Wars trilogy and whatnot. Specifically, she was part of the remnants of the Empire after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This one individual character who basically wants to basically fight against her and turn on her so he can be labeled as Grand Admiral, so to speak, because of the fact that around this time, the villain characters will be fighting against each other since Vader and the Empire guy will be basically out of the picture. So there was that going on. She's just gonna gather as many people who are loyal to her when she realizes that something's fishy going going amok in the side of villains. Yes, of course, we're not going to ignore the events of the first film. It's still going to take place right after what had occurred in the first Frozen film. So yeah, let's not dismiss that at all. I'm referring to the fact that Vader and Palpatine are basically out of the picture. So this leaves a position to be decided because there's a power or vacuum, so to speak. So everybody was trying to put apart, trying to control certain fragments of certain places. At this point of the story in Star Wars, in the expanded universe, the basically the Rebel Alliance, the Republic, or whatever you want to call it, these group of heroes had basically controlled large chunks of the galaxy. Which can be one of the primary reasons as to why this woman would want to flee, because things are getting rather dangerous. Which can be the very reason as to why she could be setting a group of her side anyway, who are willing to listen to her as it is, because she could send this group of people to, let's say, I don't know, Arendelle, I guess, which, yes, takes place on Earth. Let's just say that Earth exists in Star Wars, I guess, just for the sake of the video, I guess. And let's pretend that's Earth right there. This could go in lines of the fact that earlier, like we was talking about, Elsa having some voices. This gonna be some sort of premonition that she was having all along, and it just comes off like all this is coming true, one by one, step by step. Everything seems to be coming true, like her like her vision, her voice has been telling her, and of course things just get getting worse and worse and worse for the characters in Arendelle. Course, like in the actual movie, Anna is gonna try to do her best to basically cheer up Elsa because she can tell that something isn't exactly right, really. So that can be still in the story. And then try to have some fun, and of course the whole thing about changing, how things can't remain the same forever. That kind of theme here can still remain in the story, I guess. So Elsa, Anna, and Olaf they have a conversation about this kind of a thing, which in the actual film eventually led them to the whole. This could be, of course, something going on in the outside of Arendelle, where it's just like an intense battle. And I guess the Arendelle soldiers, I guess I call them for this. I know, I guess I call them that the Arendelle soldiers, knights or whatever. They're basically getting their asses handed to them, and it's just more in the lines that don't create some suspense. I guess it looks like they're gonna get beat up or whatever by the Empire, or what's left over it anyway. They're gonna try to attempt to take over the territory and then just rebuild the land and what have you. And they just thought this could be a good excuse to do this. While, of course, let's say Elsa could be elsewhere. I'll get to that in a minute. Elsa could be elsewhere, but yeah, like I said, I'll get to that in a minute. But this could take place outside somewhere of Arendelle, I guess, because there's some grand fighting going on. This could be a good chance to have some fight scenes, some explosions, because a lot of people like seeing this kind of stuff on the big screen. So just trying to figure out a way to fit this kind of a thing into the story and make it make sense, but at the same time make it exciting with a ton of explosions and whatnot. So this just came off like a good way to show like the heroes of the story might lose, make it seem more grim in some ways. Mist, enchanted forest thing with a mysterious past. Yeah, this kind of stuff can still occur within this version's story. So this could be around the time where this one character showed before could actually come in. So use this as an excuse to come in while as a way. You've already seen this film, Frozen 2. You already know what had occurred with this guy. But again, just for the sake of this scenario here, I'm talking about, let's just say that he stay around. So, and having no queen, of course, I'm referring to Elsa, having no queen at all can actually be bad for morale because consider the fact that Arendelle will be basically leaderless at this point. So a lot of stuff, a fair amount chunk of this story, like the action sequences, can be occurring while Elsa and the other crew of her team could be just elsewhere, while the soldiers herself, that she has, could be the very people that's fighting, doing their best to fight the villains off of the story. What's left again? What's left of them anyway? Trying to divide and conquer and whatnot. That kind of ordeal going on. Again, just trying to use ground forces and of course aircraft forces as well, all simultaneously working against each other to fight over the land of Arendelle. Because, like I said, since if you're trying to make a sequel, when it comes to sequels, you're supposed to make things seem grander. You're supposed to make things seem bigger, and in this case, make things seem a bit more grim, I guess, because you do have to make it seem exciting for some way, but you do have to realize that there has to be something at risk here. So something that has to be risk of losing. In this case, the land of Arendelle, and it could be taken over. But there's not much of they can do at the present moment because, as I was saying a moment ago, is that Elsa, Anna, and everyone else are actually doing something else because they have to solve the mystery of what's the big deal of the enchanted forest and whatnot, and everybody's getting killed off left and right over here, folks. So it seems pretty dire over here. Of course, even the trolls themselves had picked up something that was going to happen, and this could be established early on, like something bad was going to happen. And let's just say this guy has something to do with it. And I'll just call him a racist bastard just to make it seem more grim, I guess. And all the while, the kingdom of Arendelle, the city, can be occupied by, I don't know, let's say stormtroopers, I guess. And yes, the whole thing with the stories they heard when they were little, that can still be kept in there, of course. And they're gonna eventually meet these natives, of course. Are gonna be still there. So, of course, to make it even crazier, there's the giant border monsters from the film, and they can be heading their way to Arendelle along with the Imperial soldiers as well. So, yeah, things can become rather hectic while they're away. And there's no immediate action that Elsa can do right away because she's too far in the distance to actually do something about it. And again, there could be like a running theme, not doing anything too fast because they can't do it for whatever reason. Yeah, that could be a thing in the movie. There'll be some casualties, of course. Again, since the sequel is supposed to be a bit more grim anyway, so I'm just trying to go along with that idea. While at the same time, trying to make it seem like it's really action packed. Of course, Elsa does realize where they're heading to, but she can't exactly stop them because they're way too big. And of course, the craziness up on Arendelle is still going on. Obviously, there's still that going on throughout the film. We're going to be going back and forth, showing what's going on over here and things what's going on over there. So yeah, there's that kind of thing going on, of course, folks. Just to make this entire thing even seem even more crazy. So, of course, like we're saying, you're gonna have this individual here, folks. Yeah, the one guy. He has his own mission, of course, obviously, because he made deals with the Empire, I guess you can say. And yeah, he's going to be after the natives in this one spot because
You racist bastard!
if anyone saw the film, you should know what I'm talking about with the whole ordeal with that. But anyway, they have that to contend with, of course. And Anna does not like how that one dude is treating these individuals just for being different. And that can be problematic, of course. It's like a more thing they have to take care of. And then, of course, like I was saying, we're still gonna go back and forth with what's going on with them, with the Enchanted Forest, and the whole action bit over here, folks. And yeah, that's the whole idea of the inches of time because they can't be held off forever. Somebody's gonna go down and eventually run out of supplies, run out of soldiers. And of course, that gotta be a thing here. And eventually, the two sisters are gonna be separated, like in the movie. And again, if you've seen the film, you should know what I'm talking about. You should know what happened there. But of course, this can lead to even more exploring, of course. And yeah, there could be like a cave kind of thing. Maybe it could be a key to the past, of course. And this area here could be a spot where Elsa could go alone, all alone. Or maybe she thinks she's all alone. For this guy, he seems to be right in that spot as well, and he has a, I guess, in other words, he does have a trick up his sleeve, and he wants Elsa dead because he feels betrayed. Oh, how dare you help these natives? You're not supposed to do that. Blah blah blah. And of course, he views the fact that she has all these powers as witchcraft, but has some use for it and should be used just for people like him and nobody else. So he feels betrayed because of that. Of course, that didn't exactly play out like it was in a movie, sure, but there's a few tweaks I'm doing here, folks. There's quite a few things going on over here. The whole thing with Aragorn being attacked by stormtroopers and having big robot things going on, and the sisters have been separated, and then the natives over here are going to be attacked. So if you want to get super technical here, the place of Arendelle is technically being raided over here. So the soldiers are, let's say the soldiers could be made up of different people from different ethnic backgrounds, whether Chinese, Dutch, Jamaican, Cuban. You get the idea here. So, but anyway, the place has been raided, but they can only hold them for so long. So at this point, they're in dire need of help. So something needs to be done immediately. Like I mentioned before, this kind of a thing could be happening on Earth. I mean, yes, I know. Before anyone tells me, I know Star Wars never really mentioned Earth or planet or any humans coming from Earth. They never said anything about that. But again, like I said, this is going to just be a scenario that could be played out like a what if kind of thing anyway. So just take that as you will, I guess. But again, this is going to be used as an exercise in creative writing, I guess. But again, just bear with me here, folks. Just bear with me. Granted, there's already a theory surrounding the Star Wars characters stating that they were originally from Earth, even though this was never confirmed in any of the movies or books. But there's a fairly good chance that it could actually be true that these characters could actually be from Earth. So, if anything, this storyline I'm talking about here is actually going along with the possible chance that these characters were actually from Earth. But anyway, moreover. Anyway, back to the whole cave thing I was talking about. The racist scum does have an idea, and he just basically, while Elsa's still unaware, he basically starts the entire inferno, starts torching the place while she's still inside, as an attempt to kill her off. Well, look, it does look like he's going to succeed in doing so, as everything just gets engulfed in flames. He just gets up and leave while he still can. And of course, he had some help doing it with some of his minions, I guess. Looks like a big, gigantic fire surrounding up this place. And while she eventually does put out the fire, of course, but it just comes off like at first she was not going to succeed. And Anna is under the impression that she died, and there's still this a giant rock robot guy she has to deal with. But Elsa does get out of the spot, but yeah, it just gets even more crazier. I mean, sure, but here's the thing, folks. No problem is that they couldn't contact Elsa right away because the communication base, the office of it, I guess you can call it, has been destroyed. So there's no way you can communicate with her, at least not immediately. So that just kind of just wasn't the problem even further. By the looks of it, it just comes off the soldiers of Arendelle are in fact going to lose. So they figure they could hold that line long enough anyway to basically allow Asa to come in time. Well, at least in hopes anyway. Of course, Elsa senses that her sister is in grave danger because it has something to do with this smug. Yep, this smug. What does he do here, folks, when he sees Anna? He basically did what he did before, lights the place on fire, so the natives and Anna and grave danger, and she of course had to quickly go there and put out the fire. And these two, the race scumbag and her, have like a Mortal Kombat match or something because it turns out he has powers too, I guess. Yellow twist. Before she has to go to Arendelle because in Arendelle things are pretty crazy. I mean, it seems like pretty chaotic in a lot of ways. And the people in the natives, they decide to help her out too. They actually they aid Elsa steal some armory, I guess. In other words, basically steal help her steal her weapons back, I guess, and help these soldiers. And by the looks of it, it comes off now the heroes of the story seem to have more of an upper hand here. Not only just the weapons, of course, not just that. It just comes off the increase in numbers as well, considering the fact that the natives actually helped them out. They helped them out during the fight, I should say. They came along as well. Elsa, the queen, is going to need all the help she desperately needs in this dire situation because all of this has gone way out of control. So, of course, even Kristoff would have a way to bring him assistance as well. So he has his own plan, and the castle itself that they live in has been pretty much taken over. Well, at least a good chunk of it. So that has to be taken care of as well. I'm going to reclaim the castle as well because that's in Desiree as well. Contestant. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Pretty much that's going on here, folks. So basically, everything seems to be getting crazier and crazier as time goes. So there's more fighting, and yet there's these giant robots she has to deal with. And of course, since she's the one with the powers, she just has to take. Of course, fighting those things ain't gonna be no easy task. And yeah, there's the whole idea that maybe some of the soldiers might go after her too, and she will have to fight those as well simultaneously. So since she's like the only one there with the powers, so that doesn't mean it's gonna take it down everything. She's getting overwhelmed at this point. Like there's too many too soon at once. Okay, she maybe managed to take a few people down. Okay, I'll say that. But however, it's just more and more coming her way. Of course, Anna is doing her best as well. Just in some other spot, Kristoff in a different spot. Again, this would have marked the second time that all these characters in this film would have been separated. It's just she's been overwhelmed with how many people there are there. So it just makes everything even more hectic than it really should be. So she's still trying to use her powers, trying to outsmart everybody, obviously. But of course, even though there's already some people that's already taken back the castle, yeah, it keeps going back and forth. They got it, then they didn't get it back, then it keeps going back and forth. The bad guys have it, then the heroes have it. The bad guys have it, then the heroes have it. Think of like a tug of war kind of a thing going on, kind of situation there. So there's no clear winner as yet, while Elsa is still trying to fight off some other people at her spot because she's not close yet anyway. So of course she's gonna need even more assistance with this kind of a thing. So yeah, I know the in the actual film they actually brought up some soldiers, but these soldiers can actually help out as well, folks. And they're trying to do like maybe like use element of surprise to outsmart the villains, I guess. But even that proves to be a tough tactic to execute because it seems the villains themselves might have actually found a way to try to outsmart them as well. So I guess in other words, it's like a chess game. Think of it like a chess game. She's doing her best. Everybody's doing their best to back them up. So with a large number of villains in here, even though it's just basically just what's remaining of the villains, so to speak, cats are still around, unfortunately, and they prove to be a tough thing to take down because even they always have people inside of them. So as a result, the native peoples maybe start to take casualties along with them, which proves to be even more difficult to take care of for heroes or the folks because it looks like the villains may have a chance of winning, but of course they don't want to allow them to do anything. At least not without a fight anyway. The castle at this point pretty much has been heavily damaged. So the soldiers coming in trying to do their best to basically fight the people off as best they could, of course. And yeah, that's the thing, folks. They realize they don't want to give up. The good guy characters, if I'm calling it, just don't want to give up, even though the situation itself seems to be really dire. It seems like everything's really chaotic. So, but the thing is that Elsa realizes that the kingdom is in flames because there's lots of fighting going on. There's so much damage being done. And then, as if this entire thing wasn't bad already, she sees that her sister Anna is in trouble as well, and she, of course, races to her until the point where Anna is shot on the shoulder and falls to the ground. And this, of course, is a tragic sight for Elsa to see, and of course, does her best to go to and actually saves her in the last possible second. Why are there still the ground batter that's going on? There's still going to be the air batter, the aerial batter, I guess you can call it. That's still going on above them. So again, during this fight and that fight, it's going to simultaneously go back and forth, of course, to create some more crazy excitement. So even the other soldiers who see this tragedy unfold right in front of them because it's really crazy. So of course, for a last moment effort to defeat the bad guys, Elsa has a communication, a dialogue, some sort of last minute plan to finally end in this battle. And she has a plan, and it involves going into the water, and it's something she has to do. This is very similar to what had occurred in the film, but I'm not going to say what exactly because if anybody has seen the film already, they know how to exactly what had occurred. I'm gonna say something about a bridge. So you've seen the movie, you know what I'm saying. You should know what I'm talking about when I say what happens to the bridge. But what happens here is gonna be like a little bit reversed the roles a little bit because it's gonna be Elsa and that spot because because it's basically like a plan B. A plan B, a contingency plan is what I will call it. So what happened here is going to happen is that have a huge flood to wipe out all of the last stormtroopers or at least the giant robot things will show up earlier anyway. So she found a reach to that bridge thingy by swimming, mind you. So she once she gets there, she destroys the dam herself by using her powers, and as a result, of course, these giant robot things are finally knocked out. So that's that. So of course, the other teammates of the bad guys, if you can call them, have seen this and they're shocked that this happened. So they can't call any more backup or anything, and it looks like their numbers are starting to die off because the heroes are not really backing down at all. And of course, I do want this to I do want this to end in a happy note, obviously. So now, as the battle rages on, looks like the numbers of the villains seem to go down further and further downward. Basically, a war of attrition. Again, going with the whole notion of going back and forth, taking maybe bits of breaks or whatever. So anyway, the one lady I mentioned like way earlier, let's say at the end she gets arrested for what she had done. So whomever's left over, there'd be still some people left over, I guess. Maybe not many, but some are still left over, I guess you can say, because they still need a bit to take care of. And whatever's taken care of will be, of course, defeated, obviously, as the battle seems to be slowing down quite a bit, but of course with some extra help as well. It has something to do with the big old rock things I mentioned earlier, so they had something to do with the fight. So, if anything, I would have still had maybe like more of a happy ending. That they had to finally get to rest, a good night's rest, I guess, because they definitely deserve this kind of a thing, folks. So, alright, the place, Aerodale, needs some, rebuilding, but at least you got rid of the bad guys, right? So anyway, folks, I know this has been a pretty lengthy video, so excuse me, I guess. Like I said, oh, here we go. There we go. I was kind of use this as a way to, I guess, celebrate the release for this film, I suppose. So I do appreciate for anybody actually sat through all this. So thank you very much. As always, thanks for watching, and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah.